In this episode of Death by Bunjie, Bunjie Jr. and I are trying to shoot a deer under the 100-year-old apple tree. Last year, you'll remember the apple tree wasn't doing so good. It had lost a lot of leaves, it didn't produce very well, and it just didn't look like it was gonna make it through the year. But this year we were surprised because there's a lot more leaves than last year, and there's actually a lot of apples, so we're really excited about that.
You don't want to let an opportunity like that pass. Genevieve and I have sat before that apple tree dozens of times. I have killed probably a dozen deer under that apple tree over the years, over more than 10 years now of hunting with the same crossbow, hunting with Bunjie. Bunjie and I have killed doe after doe after doe under that apple tree.
When you got apples, you hunt the apples.
Nothing would make me happier than to have Genevieve get an opportunity to take a doe under that apple tree as well. Genevieve and I took great care to plan out this whole ambush strategy ahead of time. We've done it before, but we changed things up a little bit in front of the 100-year-old apple tree this year.
This year we put the blind at a little bit different of an angle because on previous years it had been producing all over the tree, but this year it was mainly on the left side.
For that reason, they'd be dropping and falling to that side. So we angled the shooting lane a little bit, cleared the weeds out to make sure that we could shoot straight toward that area. We are not going to be hunting over bait. The neighbors have 10 acres or so of corn that's still standing, that's attracting every deer in the county. And we have the 100-year-old apple tree with dozens of apples laying under it. So we'll be hunting over the apples, not bait. Just a pile of apples. But seriously, the strategy is to intercept deer that might want a tasty apple on their way to or from that cornfield. That's the plan, that's the hope.
We had set up a couple of mock scrapes this year like we normally do, and we put in a small food plot, a small staging food plot, and we had put trail cameras over them, and we didn't see any legal bucks.
It does not look good for the buck opportunities here in the Kingdom of Bunjie this year.
So we were expecting to shoot a doe on opening day.
This is still a great opportunity for Genevieve to take her first deer with a crossbow. If we get a doe under the 100-year-old apple tree, there's nothing better than that.
Well, it's opening day, and Bunjie Jr. and I, and Dad and Bunjie, we all pile into the blind together.
The first day of the 37 days of awesome, which is actually going to be like 43 days this year because they've added a few days. But nonetheless, Genevieve and I head out there on opening day, getting that blind around 2 p.m. We are all set up. She's got Bunjie Jr. I have Bunjie with me just in case.
Posted signs on every tree to try to make it look like it's a city. You can try, but you can't change me.
Dad's looking more down towards the left, down over the hill to the left of the apple tree, and I'm looking up towards the right where there's a cornfield, and we're kind of figured that's where most of the deer are. But we're helping each other out. We're watching both windows to see if we can get a shot in.
She's spotting a squirrel here and there. Then we heard some leaves off to our left, and guess who shows up?
A fox came in. I had not seen a fox in person for a long time, and he just scampered on in and sat on a stump and then ran off to go do some more fox stuff.
Genevieve's a new hunter. Of course, you get a little nervous about a new hunter. Is she going to be happy with the outing? Is she going to be successful? Is she going to want to do this again? If you have a bad experience the first time, will it sort of make it so you don't want to come back? I hate to have something like that happen. Is she going to be okay sitting in a blind for a long period of time? Can she sit still and sort of learn the patience that is required of a crossbow hunter?
So I'm just sitting here, I have the crossbow on my lap, I'm ready to go. I'm looking around for deer, and Dad's over there and he's looking around.
Okay, I'm the one that has the problem sitting still.
We have a visitor in the shooting lane finally. In comes the spike, and we have a feeling he's the button buck that we saw last year that I told Dad not to shoot because he couldn't tell it was a button buck. But he comes in, he's just wandering around, he stomps right on in there. He's just looking around, he's having a good time. He was giving us a 20-yard shot, but he's not legal. He's gotta get a pass. But regardless, he keeps coming closer, and we thought he was gonna get in the blind with us at one point.
Now, at least we're seeing deer. There's some deer activity. That tells me things are heating up. I'm pretty excited. Maybe some does will show up and Genevieve will get a shot with Bunjie Jr. And sure enough, in the background, we see the does moving around. We see some movement. I'm thinking, this is gonna be it. They're gonna come in and we're gonna have a shot at some deer. They move off to our right and they move up behind the weeds where I can't see them from the blind. I'm looking up on the side hill there, up in the tall trees and all that stuff, waiting for them. Are they going to the corn instead of the apples? I mean, why don't they want to stop here? I'm trying to figure this out. I'm looking through a tiny little hole in the side of the blind, looking out there, peeking out just to see what's going on. And I can't get any eyes on these deer. I don't know where they're going. We're waiting. I've got the cameras on and I'm wondering, man, am I using all my battery for nothing? Are they going to come in or not?
They're a little bit nervous about something.
Something is keeping them from coming into the apples. I mean, come on, deer love apples, right?
I was just working on keeping myself calm because this is my first deer hunt ever. This is my second hunt ever. I've got the crossbow ready and I'm waiting for these does to come in. As my dad's keeping an eye up there, I glance over to the left because I see movement and I see this big body start to cruise on into the shooting lane. And he picks up his head and it's a buck, and it's a legal buck. So I nudge my dad real quick to get his attention.
I look, I see this buck coming in. I realize right off the bat he's legal.
So I tell my dad, I'm gonna shoot him.
There's no way my daughter's not gonna shoot this deer. I'm fumbling to get the camera going. I'm getting it all ready and I lift it up to get it on this deer.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm ready. And he puts his head down, he starts sniffing around for apples. And I gotta get ready. It's gonna happen. So Bunjie Jr. and I, we're gonna let her rip.
He's down, Genevieve. Genevieve, I think you shot yourself a
He's
nice
a
buck.
big six. Oh, he's nice.
Oh, I think he's down. I think he's down. I think you did it. Take your time. Genevieve,
Whatever.
you look fine.
Okay. I just shot my first deer. I had no idea there was going to be a buck here today. I seriously just thought I was going to shoot it down. I'm so happy.
Out for a walk in the woods one day. Try to forget the modern way. Tree stand, bungee in hand. Enjoy a world free of man and think God for this planet and the chance to enjoy it in its natural state. Contemplate.
Well, so much for a doe.
There's a solid blood trail weaving up through the woods. He's jumping over logs and stuff, and it's on all the briars. It's a good blood trail. We can see where he scratched up the ground in some spots. The sound that we heard was him running into a tree. He ran into a dead tree and he was actually breaking it. And he got caught up on that. But again, I'm relieved because there's my deer. But I'm looking at this hole on the deer and I'm like, do you think the broadhead opened?
Minutes before this deer showed up under the 100-year-old apple tree, he got his picture taken over the little food plot that Genevieve and I put in, working a mock scrape alongside that food plot. Can you believe that?
I'm so happy to be able to shoot my first deer ever on opening day in a buck under the 100-year-old apple tree. We didn't think this tree was even gonna make it through the year, and here we are. I'm so happy. I
can't tell you how proud I am of my daughter for making this shot. This is her first shot on a deer, and it's a buck. That gets you worked up. If she was nervous at all, it didn't show. She lifted up that crossbow, she shot off of her knee out of a blind, something we had practiced, but in the moment, you never know if somebody's gonna be able to pull it off. She makes a perfect shot on this deer at 25 yards, and that was part of the strategy, that was part of the plan. She makes a perfect shot off her knee.
So I'm sort of rolling my deer around to pose him good for pictures. I noticed this deer has spots. He's not a fawn, but he still has some remnants of spots on his back. And I'm gonna skin the pelt off of this deer and tan it so that we can have something really nice to hang on the wall. Thanks for joining me in the story of my first ever deer hunt. This was really a great one. And until next time, all hail Bunjie Jr.
The intro and the outro are Genevieve.
Okay.
On this episode of Death by Bunjie, Bunjie Jr. and I try to shoot a deer under the 100-year-old apple tree. That'll be the intro.
What was it again? I want to make sure I say it right.
Deer are in and out on this apple tree all day long, in my experience. Over the years, I've had deers at over the experience.
Stump and then ran off to go do some more fox stuff.
Somebody in a comment on Facebook referred to it as fox stuff.
Oh, we have a visitor finally into this little square that we've got. I'll try that again.
It's a shooting lane.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking
Okay.
of.
Yeah.
What's a square?
I don't know. Don't make fun of me. Do you think the broadhead opened? You should do like a crop in on my face when I look back up at the camera.